That's a good question. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Yesterday, I took a long drive to somewhere in the Sierras, to look at a bonsai person. And he was at the site for almost 40 years. And he planted some dwarf trees, for example, sage elm. And he also had a dwarf, very small leaf Trident maple. He called it Keeda, which just means trident, maple, Yatsubusa, which means dwarf. And the tree was just huge. And then another one was really impressive. It's a dwarf English elm. That also was huge, like a regular sized tree, but very small leaves. It's a mutation. So the point I want to make is a lot of people are very curious about how to grow thicker trunks. And it's just really a matter of time. In his case, it's just 40 years, and that's what shows, is the age. So be patient with your bonsai. They will eventually thicken, and don't put them in bonsai pots too early. Grow them in the nursery pots or grow them in the ground. I think that would give you a lot of thick trunk, which you like to show off. Now let's get into the Q&A after the comment. As I said, I like to do a weekly comment. And the first question was about my elm next to the rocks. And the question was, where was the elm planted, or where's the root? Well, actually, both of them are planted in the bottom of the rock, in a sense, planted in the pot next to the rock. And what I did, in fact, in the early days is I took a very thin, long nail. I think those are maybe for tagging. And I nailed the tree into the rock. And one of them actually stuck, the other one didn't. And the one that stuck, actually the tree grew into the rock, or onto the rock. So they was actually attached to the rock on the top. So it really looks like it's coming from the rock itself. Other people have drilled holes in it and planted, not sure you have enough, unless you drill a very big hole. There's not enough soil to really keep the bonsai grow healthily, in a sense, vigorously. So you may want to drill through all the way to the bottom so that it can reach the soil in the bottom again as well. So you can find rocks that are not too hard to drill. Other rocks can be quite challenging to drill. The next question is about how do I induce fibrous roots, basically. And that's a good question. Well, when you cut the tap roots, or the thick roots, they will send out, just like branching, they will send out fibrous roots both at the ends as well on the sides. So that is a simple answer. Now, going to a little bit more detail, what I found is that when you have soil that's very uniform, like very uniform topsoil with the compost, like peat moss, the roots tend to start to grow long. And so what you can do is you can add coarse sand to the mix, so that when the root hits a coarse sand, it will start to break up. Or for that matter, if you really are serious, you can maybe use small lava rock or something like that to break up the roots and to become more fibrous. And the last approach that I really emphasize is what I call root pruning, which I put a mesh, mosquito mesh, fiberglass mesh, at the bottom of the pot, so that when the root grows down, instead of curling around in the pot, they got cut up by the mesh when it goes through the holes, and that induces the fiber root. So this is a very good question. I think you should try all the methods that I just mentioned to promote the fibrous roots of your tree. And the next question is that do I intend to use all of the branch or sacrificial? Well, I think the big branches, the thick branches, I think you can leave some stubs or long stubs for that matter behind, and you clean off the bark so they can become opportunity for gin. But otherwise, I cut off all my branches, and the ones I left, I actually hope that they will grow out to thicken to increase my ramification. Some people prefer their trees for winter dormancy by cleaning and spraying pesticide on the tree. Do I do that? Well, in a way, wintertime, that's not the season where bugs thrive. So generally, you want to spray during the springtime where there are a lot of aphids and so forth that are around. So I think you don't need to spray in the wintertime. Although that said, people growing fruit trees, they use dormant spray, which is usually lime sulfur kind of a spray. And I think the idea is to prevent the larvae coming out during the summer, during the warmer season when they emerge and they get killed right away. So maybe you want to, I don't know, but I generally don't. California, really, we don't have much of an insect problem. I'm growing a lemon bonsai or lemon tree from seeds. What do you think I should do? When should I prune it and so forth? Well, first of all, it's admirable that you start with a lemon tree from a lemon seed. It's nobody do it, even though there's plenty of lemon seeds when you have lemon juice. But in California, we generally wind up buying a lemon tree that's typically grafted, and then you plant it low to air layer the graft mark to so that it doesn't show. So you have a reasonable sized tree right away. In your case, I suggest you let it grow wildly, not trimming it to as long as you want, to certain thickness, either in a growing pot or in the ground, and then stop pruning it, because once you cut it, there will be plenty shoots coming out that you can that can provide you design opportunities. Instead of planting to thicken my elm trunk, if I use a very large pot, and because of the snails and slugs, and it's easier to maintain. Well, it's true. Elm tree grows so rapidly that it almost you can grow almost satisfactorily fast in a nursery, big nursery pot, and prune it only occasionally to thicken, let the trunk thicken. That said, you can have your cake and eat it too. Of course, still growing faster and thicken faster in the ground. But that said, plant the nursery pots as drainage holes, and usually also a hole in the middle. Maybe take a few inches below the soil line and sink the pot down a few inch or two, and to encourage the roots to shoot out to go into the soil, and that actually speed up the roots. And you can have your cake and eat it too, because then the tree grows both fast and easy to dig up. Why do we do root work in winter? Well, as I keep emphasizing, most people ask me what's the best time to repot your tree, and the answer, the best time is in the springtime, because if you do a winter time, it may freeze over, but springtime, everything's getting going, the juices are flowing. And I also emphasize you can do minor root pruning or minor repotting by cutting minimal amount of roots any time of the year, so long as you don't cut off too much roots. And if you do cut off a lot of roots, cut back the branches to compensate so the trees doesn't dry out. So yes, you can do it both in the summer and winter time. The question is about, I mentioned that if you have a branch with a bud here, and you want a branch to come out this way so that you get opportunity to do this, what you can do is just scar it, make a notch above the bud. So when the juice flow up, it hits the bud, so to speak, and it will tend to shoot out the bud. Not always, but often works. And the question is that can I do it anywhere on the tree? Well, I'm not sure. For example, juniper for sure doesn't shoot out anywhere in the trunk, or for sure sometimes, but for sure not, but except sometimes. But pines never do. A lot of the evergreen, but you can try. I think elm actually, for example, it may just shoot up, maybe not exactly where you did it, but below it. And the question also is about, can I do it for maple, Japanese maple, where there's rings on the bark? I'm not sure what rings on the bark means, but if you say just color pattern, I say not. But I would say if it's where you can see a bud growing, then yes. And I might add trees like Zelkova. It's particularly troublesome if you just cut it anywhere. Let's say above the bud that much, that would be a dead branch for that high. It just doesn't shoot out randomly. So I would try to look for the buds. And where can I find the Formosa varieties in California? Well, I emphasize the Formosan variety because it has a slightly shinier leaf. It's a rounder leaf. I look up the web and it says it's called Trident, which is Bergerinum, and then it's called Formosanum. And in the description, it's a more rounder leaves and a more shiny leaf. But that's only because I pick it because it's shiny and less thicker, so it's less likely to turn brown in the summertime. So you can look for seedling variations with that characteristic. But I also find several named varieties of Trident, which maybe someday I'll try to find them, that are quite small leaves and also very thick and very round. So it may be a variation of the Formosanum that's very desirable for bonsai. And I just found one and I'm going to try to propagate it. However, I Googled it. I really didn't find it on the web for sale. So you just have to search for them. Subscribe to our channel so we'll keep you notified of offering a special announcement. And if you like my video, the Q&A, for example, in this case, please click like. I need the encouragement and the brownie points for that matter. So I hope to see you next week. Thank you.